but be aware that it is being recorded. Your voice will be recorded if it picks up on the microphone if you ask a question, so keep that in mind. So with that caveat emptor up there, my name is Dr. Chris Burke. This is Computer Science 1, specifically it's CSCE 155E. Don't read anything into that E. It doesn't really stand for anything. But are you in the right class? There are a variety of other CS1 courses. If you are a computer science or computer engineering or electrical engineering major, you are definitely in the right place. This is where you need to be for those majors. If you are looking for we use the C programming language, by the way, and I'll get to that later. But we do have a variety of other courses. 155T has a humanities focus, and that uses the Python programming language. 155N is for general engineering. So if you're in civil engineering or mechanical engineering or some other ag engineering or something like that, talk to your advisor to see if this is the right course for you. Generally, the vast majority of general engineering education students will take a 155N, which is MATLAB. But it's perfectly fine for many majors to take 155E using the C programming language. If you have a pretty good solid background already coming in, there are two other alternatives to this course. 155H is the honors section of this course. It's not entirely full yet. There are limited seats, but if you are part of the university honors program or the CSE honors program, or you just want an extra challenge, go ahead and talk to me afterwards, because you might be more appropriate to go into the H course. The H course covers both C and Java in parallel, so you can kind of think, well, there might be like twice the amount of work, and not exactly twice the amount of work, but we do cover both languages, so it goes a lot faster. There are higher expectations, and more is put on you for your own learning for that course. For example, in this course, there are labs and hack sessions. In the H section, there are just labs. So if you're interested in that and you think you're up for the challenge, please talk to me as soon as possible, because the first class for that would be, of course, tomorrow. If you have a good background, like you've been programming for the last 4 years in Java or something like that, and you want to start at the next level, right? 156 is CS2. And that's for those with prior programming experience. In this course, we do not assume any prior programming experience, although it's still a challenging course. But if you already have, a good background, a good solid background in a high-level programming language already, then you might want to go ahead and skip ahead to 156, which assumes that you already know at least one high-level programming language. They use the first 3 weeks to introduce you to Java. From then on, it is object-oriented programming, SQL, data structures and algorithms, algorithm analysis, et cetera, et cetera. That would be, of course, the next course that you take if you're a CS or CE major, or just want to continue with a minor or something like that. And right now, I'm scheduled to teach that next semester, same room, not the same time, though. Okay? So, are you in the right course? I don't know. Which category do you fall in? And maybe you're not in the right course. But the vast majority of you look to be in the right course. All right? There I am in the middle. Again, Dr. Chris Burke. You can call me Burke. Don't have to use the doctor. Those are your 4 GTAs, graduate teaching assistants. That's Sujan from the top left, clockwise. It's going to be Sujan, Boyang, Nisha, and Jivan. But in addition to that, we've got 25 learning assistants. Learning assistants are all undergrads. They've gone through this course or something like it before just last year. The vast majority of them are sophomores, I believe. And so they are there to help you. You'll see them in your labs, in your hack sessions. They hold 5 times 25, so 125 125 office hours per week that you can go and get help. Right? And you'll meet each one of them. The instructor page has full details, biographies and their names, and office hours there. Right? So what is this course about? If you've determined, yes, I'm in the right course, then what is it about? And I like to use these 2 quotes, and I've got a third quote on the next slide here, but These are basically the themes of the course. These are mantras. The first one is from a book by Douglas Adams, not one of his more famous books. Well, I guess it's more famous now that there is a BBC series on it. But there's a great quote in that book that if you really want to understand something, the best way is to try to explain it to somebody else. That forces you to sort it out in your own mind, right? Then that's actually a cornerstone of teaching. That you know that you've learned something if you can teach somebody else how to do it. And that's why we have those LAs, right? It's reinforcing their learning experience too. But I like that it goes on even deeper than that and says that that's really the essence of programming. By the time that you've sorted out a complicated idea into little tiny steps that even a stupid machine can deal with, then you've certainly learned something about it yourself. And so you know that you've solved the problem when you can break that problem down, the solution down into such small parts that a dumb machine can run them. That you can write a piece of code for the first part, a piece of code for the second part, and a piece of code for the third part. And then you let the computer solve it for you, right? You know that you've solved that problem if you can tell a computer how to do it, because a computer is just a dumb machine that does exactly what it's told, right? And that's what the essence of this course, because by the end of this course, you'll have a better appreciation for problem solving to the extent that you can take any problem and break it down into those small parts and then write a program to solve that problem, or actually to automate solutions. The second one is by another writer, Michael Crichton, but it's from a magazine article that he wrote many, many years ago. In my experience, why do we want to program machines? Why do we want to learn how a machine works and make it do what we want it to do? In my experience, you assert control over a computer. You show it who's boss by making it do something unique. That means programming it. If you devote a couple of hours to programming a new machine, you'll feel better about it afterwards. It is so much better to be the master of the machine and know how machines work and be able to build those machines and make them do what you want, rather than just being a consumer of the machine and treating it all as deus ex machina, right? God in the machine, and just this mystery of, I don't know how this phone works, but it's great. I can get all my Facebook stuff on it, right? Take it to the next level and make sure that you are the master of the machine rather than just a consumer of the machine, or the machine masters you, right? So these two mantras, at its core, hopefully they describe what computer science is. It is problem solving. Now, it'd be hubris to say that computer science is the only discipline about problem solving. Every discipline is about problem solving. But computer science is more about how to go about solving problems in general, so that you can take it to those other disciplines and then apply the knowledge there. You may not know anything about biology. You may not know anything about civil engineering. But you can take the knowledge of how to solve a problem, how to break that problem down, and automate solutions with a program to any other discipline. In fact, that's my fourth bullet point there, that every discipline is, our discipline, the computer science discipline, is becoming ancillary to all other disciplines. That you will not find a discipline out there that says that you don't need to know any programming. You don't need to know any basic computer operations. Everybody will need to be able to know this, just like everybody needs to know basic algebra. And this is my third and final quote here from Isaac Asimov. Over 50 years ago at the World's Fair in 1964, he was asked about what this decade would look like. Now this is from 5 years ago now, so it's not aging well, but hopefully this will become true. What does the world of 2015 or thereabouts look like? That's what he was asked. It'll have few routine jobs that cannot be done better by some machine than by some human being. Mankind will then therefore have to become largely a race of machine tenders. Schools will have to be oriented in this direction. All high school students will be taught the fundamentals of computer technology. We're still not there yet. It's still completely uneven. We'll have to become proficient in binary arithmetic, not really. And we'll have to be trained in perfection of the use of computer languages. We're quickly approaching this world where you will not be able to have a single job out there that doesn't require some competency at some level of programming. So keep that in mind. Again, the whole point of me introducing these quotes here is to make you realize what computer science is. Computers do not solve problems. Computers are dumb. Computers are just machines that do exactly what they're told to do. Humans solve problems. Computers only automate solutions. Once you've solved the problem, once you've written a program that automates those solutions, you've solved that problem forever, in some sense, right? So that's what computer science is about. It's about reducing the grunt work of human beings, right? Now, whether or not that's something as modern like data entry or something more futuristic like robotics, where we don't have to do intensive agricultural labor anymore, or something like that. Right? So, what is the CS1 course all about? It's an introduction to computer science, obviously. It's not really a programming course. I mean, on its face, that's what it's going to look like, because you are going to learn how to program in the C programming language. But you should look at it more as programming is a tool that you're going to be using to learn how to problem solve, how to solve problems. It's about computational thinking, algorithms, data structures, and data processing. How can I make sense of this data? How can I manipulate this data to learn something new? The world is process, and the world is computation. If you take any discipline, biological, physical, economic, engineering, they all have models, and those models need to be simulated, right? And those and you need feedback loops and stuff like that. So it's all computation. It's all some process out there. That's why I say that computer science is now a fundamental discipline to all the other disciplines. Right? As far as official topics, these are they. The mastery of fundamentals of programming in a high-level programming language, that's C. Problem-solving methodology. Software development principles, data abstraction and modeling, control structures, et cetera, et cetera. So those are the details of the basic topics that we'll go over. Right? The course structure itself is structured around modules. Each module roughly corresponds to 1 week. And each module has different components to it. Each module covers basically one major topic, and those topics build on each other. So, for example, the next module is going to be basic variables and variable types. Then the next module would be conditionals. Then the next module would be loops, and we go on from there. Each one has assigned reading, so required reading out of the textbook, which, by the way, is my textbook. And it's my textbook because it's free, and it's a free download. You can print it out if you want to. So you've saved $50, $100, whatever it is. At the first part of the summer, they had the wrong textbook at the store. They never got my approval. I don't know where it came from, but they said it was required, and I have no idea what it was. Probably Hanley or something like that. Take it back and get your full refund if you bought it, because there are plenty of free resources out there beyond just my book. All right, there are going to be the assigned reading also includes, say, blog posts or chapters from other books that are free and online. You do not have to spend $1 at the bookstore. There's no software to buy for this course. There's nothing beyond what you have to pay anyway for tuition and fees. Okay. So there's assigned reading that you should get done before coming to class. There are videos. For each module, I developed 5 or 6 videos that basically go over the topics and then go over exercises for those topics. And you should watch those before coming to class, because that's going to be where you get an exposure to the ideas before we come to class. Lectures are the third part. Right now, this is the lecture. Mondays and Wednesdays, 5 to 6:15, I'll be doing live demonstrations. I'll be writing up notes that'll appear up here much like this, but it's a little bit different. Mostly tutorial style kind of lectures where I show you how something works, and then we use that to solve a small problem or something. All of those lectures are, of course, recorded and will be available on YouTube the following day or very soon after. That doesn't mean that you can go, okay, I'll watch it later, right? Later tends to become later and later and later, and then turns into never. So I would highly recommend that you continue coming to the live lectures, taking notes, whether or not it's a piece of paper or through your laptop. You should be doing that, okay? And then each week you have a lab on Tuesday and a hack session on Thursday. Each one of these things I'm going to talk about in a little bit more detail now. Again, it's a free textbook. That textbook is designed around how I do all my CS1 courses. there's a first part that talks about the concepts, say loop concepts. Here's a traditional for loop and how it works. And then I've got other parts to that book. The first part is, of course, covers everything else, everything again, but in the C programming language. Then the third part, I think, is Java, and then the fourth part is PHP. A fifth part would say in the future would be Python, right? So if you're interested in learning another language in parallel to C, you can go ahead and check those out as well. If you want to, you can use that as a resource in your future endeavors. Oh, I want to pick up PHP now for some insane reason. Let's go ahead and get his textbook and read those chapters as well. You should read the relevant sections before the module starts so that you know what's coming up. Now, reading does not necessarily guarantee mastery. In fact, I can tell you right now that simply reading or hearing about a programming language concept will not tell you how to actually do it. Once you get into the labs, once you get into the hack sessions, when you put it into practice, that's where the real learning comes. But if you go into that real learning situation not being prepared by not doing the readings or watching the videos or going to lecture, then you're not going to get the benefit of actually putting it into practice because you're not going to know what's going on. All right? There's also many supplemental articles. For example, this week I've got 5 motivational articles on what to do and what not to do when you're learning to code for the first time. Go ahead and read those, a selection of those and post on Piazza if you want on which one is the best one that you thought, or which one was the most helpful at least. Pre-prepared videos is the second part to each one of these modules. There are 59 videos, all available on YouTube, of course, which corresponds to about 9.5 hours of material. Don't watch them all right now. But there are 5 videos per module, roughly 9 minutes each. So they're small, they're digestible. You can go back to them and re-watch them. You can slow them down, you can pause them, go do something else. If I do something, a demonstration in the video, you can pause it, go do it yourself to reinforce that idea. The intention of these videos is that you watch them before class. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that you can't watch them after class. Like, I totally missed what he was talking about. Let's go back to those videos one more time or something. Hopefully it presents a different perspective, different examples, or different exercises than I do in class here. So you get a double dose of everything. You watch it. You can also watch it as a review after those lectures. Right? Otherwise, lectures are every Monday and Wednesday. It's historic. I had nothing to do with the scheduling. It's just historic, and so it's kind of weird. But it is in the evening, so that we can get this room, one of the largest GP general purpose classrooms, but also so that we can. It's an attempt to try to get to accommodate everybody's schedule. If we put it in the middle of the day, we'd be conflicting with some calc course that everybody's taking or something. I recommend that you attend every single one. I can't tell you how many times course evaluations come back and what helped you. I went every day. Or I failed this course because I stopped going to class. I stopped thinking I could watch the videos later. I never watched the videos, and you just fell behind. Right? So make sure that you're attending every one. Right? And make sure that you're using your time wisely too. Limit your distractions. There have been countless studies, and there are 2 of them here, that indicate that if you are doing other things, playing a game, Facebooking, or texting on your phone or whatever, the mere existence of a smartphone makes you dumber by not being able to focus and listen at the same time. Right? Bring your laptops, but use them wisely. If you're bringing your laptop to take notes, that's perfectly fine. If you're a very fast typist, great. Go ahead and do it that way. If you're not a fast typist or you really like the traditional way, pen and paper method, then go ahead and do it that way. Again, numerous studies have shown that if you're listening to a lecture and you regurgitate it immediately to a piece of paper or you're typing it out, then you are far more likely to retain that knowledge and understand that knowledge. So take notes. Make sure that you're taking notes. My lectures are going to be coded in Markdown, and you'll see what that looks like on Wednesday. Basically, I'll be typing up here, and then it'll appear up here in a very nice little format. Ultimately, what I'm going to do with those notes in the end is I'm going to make them available via Piazza. But again, don't rely on that. Don't look at that as a backup. make sure that you're taking your own notes, because not everything makes it into those notes. Sometimes I make mistakes, and the mistakes go into those notes. And if you're taking good notes, then you'll catch those kind of things. Labs are the other part to each module. There are 15 of them, 15 weeks, every Tuesday that you meet, and they account for 15% of your grade. So they're 10 points each if you're worried about the point scale. So each one is roughly worth about 1% of your grade. They are peer programming exercises, which means that your lab instructors, those people that I showed you before, those 4 GTAs are in charge of labs, and then you've got the 25 LAs that are in there to help you with your labs at an average ratio of about 1 to 5. So for every 5 of you, there's one of them in labs there to help you. All right? That's why it's important to attend, because if you don't, then you don't get the benefit of them being there. Let's see, go back. There we go. They will randomly pair you up with somebody in that class, and you'll determine who wants to be the driver, who wants to be the navigator. The driver is theoretically responsible for the keyboard. The navigator is responsible for directing everything. So they should have the handout with them and saying, all right, we need to do this next, we need to do this next. It's not a you go here and then they go there, or the driver just takes over control of everything. It is supposed to be a collaboration. You're supposed to be communicating, and you're supposed to be collaborating on what is the next best step to take to finish this lab. They are graded on completion, so you should have it done by the end of the lab, and you will get full points if it's done by the end of the lab, all 10 of those points. Make sure that you are communicating with your partner. Make sure that you are prepared, that you've done all the reading, that you've watched all the videos, that you've gone to lectures, so that you know what's going on. We randomly change it each week, because it sucks if you get a partner for 1 week, but if you had the same crappy partner throughout the entire semester, that would be devastating. And that's why we change you around. It is randomized each and every single time, so make sure that you're there on time and find your partner and just get started. Okay? You complete the code. There is a worksheet that your instructor will hand out, so there's no need to print anything out. You get the worksheet done. You show your code to the instructor, or whatever artifacts are required for that lab. They sign it off. Any of those LAs, any of the GTAs can take care of it, and you're good to go. See you next week. Okay? That's every Tuesday. Every Thursday is a hack session. So there is a weekly programming assignment, including this week. It is you can get started earlier if you want and get on the ball. It's open collaboration, so you can work with anybody else that you want. We don't randomly pair you up with somebody. You can work alone if you want. You can work in groups of 3, 4. Anything larger than that, you're probably not learning anything, because the diffusion of responsibility with more than 4 people, it's not good. All right? So it's completely open collaboration. We don't care who you work with. There's no such thing as cheating. The only thing there's no such thing as plagiarism with respect to the hacks. You're only cheating yourself. If you don't understand what's going on with the hacks, if you don't write your own code and you just mooch off somebody else, when it comes to the assignments and the exams, you're dead in the water. All right? So make sure that you are understanding everything that every piece of code that you submit. You should be responsible for it, and you should understand it. If you don't understand it, then ask an LA to explain it. Ask the person that you worked with to produce that code to explain it, and make sure that you understand it before you turn it in. They're due the following Monday, so you have everything up to Thursday as well. But you get started, theoretically, if you start on Thursday, you've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You've got 4 days there to complete it. It should not take you 4 days. Many people get it done in the hack session. But if you want to take some extra time, you want to take the weekend, that's perfectly fine. Right? They are more substantial than labs, and so they count for 25 points each. And so cumulatively, that's 35% of your grade. Okay? You turn it in electronically using the web hand-in. You'll see that in your first lab tomorrow. We give you a Hello World program. We walk you through the steps of editing it, compiling it, running it, making sure that it works locally. Then you take it and you upload it to a web hand-in system. Then you look at the web grader and you run the web grader, and it says, here's the expected output, here's your output, do they match? If so, great, you're probably going to get a good grade on that. If not, you go back. you fix whatever needs to be done, you hand it in again as many times as you need up until the due date. That's on Mondays. For hacks, it's Mondays 1 second before midnight. And that's according to the CSE system clock. Not your own personal clock, not any Eastern Standard Time or anything like that. That's going to be according to the local system clock on the CSE server. Right? It's graded on style, documentation, design, and correctness. There is a full rubric available for you, both in Canvas and available on the website. All right, or I guess which is Canvas. All right. Assignments are done outside of class alone. There's no collaboration allowed except for at a very high level of, I'm getting this compiler error. Have you seen it before? Oh yeah, that's because you're missing a semicolon somewhere. That's perfectly fine. But sitting down and looking at somebody else's code, walking through it with them, that's not allowed. You can work with a learning assistant. You can work with me. You can work with a graduate teaching assistant. They can look at your code. They can talk to you about your code. That's perfectly fine. But another person in the course, no. There are 5 assignments, 50 points each. That's going to be 25% of your grade. Okay? They are due on Fridays. Every 3 weeks or so 3 weeks from roughly today, the 3rd week, Friday, 1 second before midnight, your first assignment is due. So my suggestion would be, as you're looking at everything and putting everything into your electronic organizers or whatever, take a look at the first hack. Definitely take a look at the first assignment to see what you need to be doing in the future over the next 3 weeks. Right? They are semi-auto graded using the web grader. In addition to that, we upload it to we're going to try to upload it to an app called Code Post, and the graders are going to go line by line and make comments where they need to make those comments. Those comments will be available for you later on. Again, it's graded on style, documentation, design, and correctness. The rubric is there in Canvas. Finally, there are 2 exams: 1 midterm exam in class, 1 final exam during the regular final exam time. They are coding exercises, laptop required. And by extension, open book, open note, open computer, because you have to have a computer to do it. We will give you a handout, actually an electronic handout, no paper at all in this course except for in your labs. We'll give you an electronic handout. You download the PDF. You say, okay, I need to write this program, do that according to these specifications. You sit there, you write it, you submit it in class during the midterm exam, during the final exam. Same deal. You run the web graders, see if everything works. If everything works, great, you're gone. If you've got things that you need to change, to fix, do that up until the end of class for that midterm. If you do not have a laptop, then there are 2 alternatives. One, you can go out to the tech people just outside here, and you can rent a laptop for free for, I believe, up to a week. Anybody? Okay, Husker Tech. There's also a checkout at the Union, East Campus Union, Library, and I don't know anywhere else. But you can definitely check out a laptop if you need it. If that's not going to work for you, then we will set up a proctor in the CSE one of the CSE labs. The only bad thing about that is that we cannot guarantee a distraction-free environment because it's an open lab. There will be a TA or an LA there to proctor, but we can't guarantee that your fellow students that are working on their homework or something aren't going to be quiet for you. All right, so keep that in mind. The entire schedule is already up in Canvas, so the midterm, I believe, is in the 9th week or so, and we'll take a look at that in a second. So that's 10% of your grade and 15% of your grade. If you're following along, that adds up to 100%. Okay. Again, collaboration. Collaboration is highly encouraged where it's allowed. We want you to work together. We want you to be solving each other's problems. If you get it right away and you just understand everything, we call that grokking. If you grok it right away, then great. Use that knowledge and mentor another student in this class that is not understanding it or grokking it right away. The places to do that are going to be the labs and the hacks. You are randomly, so one way of looking at it is in the labs, there's required collaboration because you're being randomly selected and teamed up with another student. We want you to work together. In fact, we're requiring you to work together on those labs. Hacks are open collaboration. Open collaboration, you can choose to work alone if you really want to. If that's the best way that you understand things, and the way I just need to do everything myself so that I understand everything, perfectly fine. If you want to, it's great though to work with somebody else because you can bounce ideas off of each other. You'll always get a fresh perspective, and of course you work on those soft skills. Teamwork, collaboration, conflict resolution, all those things that are necessary in addition to the hard skills of actually programming. Assignments and exams are, of course, closed collaboration. No collaboration except for at a high level with another person, with another peer is allowed. Okay? That and more policies can be found in your syllabus. Let me go ahead and open it up. It's a PDF form here. So I've got those two quotes from before, all the administrative stuff of whether the prereqs for this course, blah, blah, blah. These are the skills objectives. By the end of this class, you should be able to, etc. I'll go ahead and, there we go. Increase the size there. You should have a familiarity with software development principles, practices, etc., etc. I'd encourage you to go through this, but basically everything I've been telling you up to this point is encapsulated in these skills outcomes. For the schedule, you'll need to take a look at, here we go, there's CS1. It's labeled as CS1. The schedule is all down here. And it's not showing up very well in Firefox over here, but each module, all right, it corresponds to 1 week. So we're in module 1 right now. If you click on that, there are no videos because, of course, it's just an introduction. But there's required reading, including the syllabus, and then a bunch of articles, like 35 habits that make you a bad coder, that make you write bad code. So 35 things not to do. What I tell all new programmers. So again, it's those motivation things. Go ahead and try to read those. Otherwise, I've got some videos. These are not my videos. These are other people's videos on giving you basically a pep talk to get you ready to start coding and to start learning how to code. Otherwise, there's the lab on Tuesday. That's where you'll start. There's a handout, the worksheet. You can print it out if you want, but your lab instructor will provide it. There's some starter code available on GitHub. The handout shows you how to check that out and get started. There's hack 1, getting started with Git. So you will, like I said in the welcome message, you will need a GitHub account in order to do this. Make sure that you sign up for it sooner rather than later. And then a couple of other resources like another Git tutorial and stuff like that. Otherwise, the first real module, module 2, there are all the videos. They're the pre-lecture videos that I was talking about. There are 6 of them here. You can go ahead and watch them all, binge watch them, or watch them, at your own pace. If you want to watch them in parallel to the lectures, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, chapters 2 and 15 of the course textbook, as well as some supplemental articles down here. And again, lab 2, starter handout, worksheet, starter code. And hack 2, another handout, and then some resources here. All of the modules follow the same basic pattern. Videos, required reading, required viewing, the activities like the labs, the hacks, and additional resources. Okay? I also say what we're going to cover in those lectures. This is the tentative plan. I will update these with direct links to the recorded videos as we go along, so that you can always come back here to the schedule and see that that week's or that day's lecture. Now, again, you should still come. This is not a foolproof system. I think in the last year that we've been using it, it's failed once to not record anything. But what if it fails to record that one time that you absolutely need to understand that material, right? So don't rely on it. It's not a foolproof system. Your assignments are here. The first assignment, again, is due Friday, September 13th, 1 second before midnight. Assignment 2, Assignment 3, Assignment 4, and Assignment 5. Everything is scheduled. Where was midterm? Look ahead to that. That's on Wednesday, October 23rd, it looks like. That was fall break. There is no Monday and Tuesday class that week. Where was it? Lost. There we go. There's no class because of fall break, but we do have that midterm when we come back on Wednesday. Okay. The final exam looks like Tuesday, December 17th. Sorry, this is terrible. Increase the size here, and There we go. Tuesday, December 17th, 3:30 to 5:30. So relatively early in the week. Great. Some of the final exams go all the way till Friday. So we were fortunate here with our scheduling this year. Okay. Let's go back to that syllabus. Accommodations for SSD. If you have a documented learning disability and you need accommodations for anything, including transcription, make sure that you go to the SSD office and they will take care of your accommodations. Grading are, I don't think it adds, I think it should add up to 1,000. But again, we've got 14 hacks, 5 assignments, 1 midterm, and 1 final. Worth, again, the same distribution that I had before. Standard scale for this class, we do go plus-minus system. And if you are a major, a CS or a CE major, a C or better is required to continue. So keep that in mind. And a C or better is required to continue to 156. That's computer science too. So that's your goal. But your goal is what? Your goal is, no. What's your goal? An A+. 100. Oh, okay, I like that one. So yeah, you upped me. So your goal is 100, right? And you can do that, right? In fact, I have no problem with all 217 people that are currently enrolled in this course getting A's. That is perfectly fine. It's never happened. If you want to know what the distribution is, typically, historically for this course, and this goes beyond before I was even teaching it, 40% DFW rate. That's what we call people who get a D, an F, or withdraw because they are going to get a D or an F, or just simply withdraw because it's not for them. That's perfectly fine. It's 40% for this course. Right? I want to see that at 0%. You have all the tools that you need to succeed in this course. If you actually, programming is a skill. Right? It's not about smart people. Right? It's not just smart people that know how to program or get it. Everybody goes at their own pace, yes. But at the end of this course, everybody will, if you've done all the work, everybody will be at the same level. Right? It is simply just a matter of practice. It's like playing an instrument. Right? It's something brand new. You may never have done it before. You pick up the instrument. You're not going to sound great. Right? But if you put in the hours, if you put in the practice, then you will eventually sound okay. Right? And then you'll sound good. And then you'll sound great. Right? So everybody could earn 100% in this course, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I want to see everybody earning 100%. I want to see everybody starting a week out ahead of everything before it's due, submitting it 50 times if necessary to get that 100%. Right? Do that. Right? That would be awesome. Already talked about labs and hacks. Yep, Monday. I did fix that. Assignments and exams. 15th week notification. Again, everything that's the colloquial known as the dead week policy. Everything is already posted in this schedule. During dead week, that is the last week of classes, you do have a lab, you do have a hack, you do have assignment 5 due. So as per the 15-week policy, you have been notified in writing according to the schedule. There is stuff due during dead week. Your final is not due during dead week. Your final is during the regular finals week. We have 20 different graders. I will be one of those graders, but I will not be grading all of you. I will only be grading about 10 of you per week. If you have a problem with the way that it was graded or a question because it was unclear or whatever, talk to the grader first. If you can't get it resolved there, then go ahead and come talk to me or the GTA or a course leader or somebody else. If you're just clashing with your grader for whatever reason, you think that they're being unfair, then go ahead and escalate it. Right? But otherwise, the place to start where you've got a question about grading, because some people aren't the greatest graders. They don't always put down full details and explanations of why they did what they did. And the only way that they're going to improve is by you challenging them and saying, well, you took off 5 points, but you didn't put why you took off 5 points, right? Bring that to their attention so that they don't do that again. Right? I like to think that we train them well, but not everybody does as well as others, right? There is no late work accepted at all, so make sure that you are turning everything in before that 1 second before midnight cutoff. Once that cutoff hits, the web hand-in shuts down and you're not allowed to turn anything in at all. You try to turn it in, it'll actually reject the file. So keep that in mind. There is a web grader that you'll see tomorrow, and you'll see exactly how it works. You hit the Grade Me button, and it shows you the expected output, your output. Do they match? Great. All right, I'm probably going to get a good grade on that. They don't match, go back to the drawing board, redo it as many times as you need to, rerun the web grader as many times as you need to get that perfect. Right? Academic integrity, again, I told you about collaboration. Make sure that there's no collaboration whatsoever on the assignments. You will be caught. So you've heard about plagiarism detection kind of software for, say, English papers, where they can scan 50,000 English papers from the last 10 years and do a text analysis and then come out with a report that they probably got this from such and such. It's ridiculous. Those systems are not that great, but what is great are the systems with respect to code, because code is way more structured than English. And we've got a tool called MOS, Measure of Software Similarity. Comes back with a report 9 times out of 10, it's accurate. 99 times out of 100, it's accurate. It simply comes back with a report that this person cheated with this person, and here are the lines that they cheated on. Do not try to obfuscate it by changing the comments. It ignores those. Don't try to obfuscate it by changing variable names. They named their variable foo. I'll go ahead and erase that and name it bar. It takes all that kind of stuff into account. It actually looks at the structure of your program to make matches to another program. It develops what's called an AST, an abstract syntax tree. So it takes this program and looks and builds this tree based on this structure. Looks at this one, builds its tree. How similar are these trees together? And that's how it actually detects plagiarism. There are plenty of there are at least a dozen instances from a year ago. The most blatant was somebody hiring somebody on Chegg or some other website to do their work for them. Well, don't do that, because paying somebody $50 to do your homework for you means that they have no scruples, they have no ethics. That they're willing to do this means that they're also willing to go the extra mile and blackmail you for it. And that's exactly what happened last year. The person paid him $50, something cheap to do his homework. And, well, $50 wasn't enough for this person. You give me $1,000 or I'm going to report you to your instructor. And, well, he didn't have $1,000 to pay this guy. So guess what happened? He reported it to me. Right? And that person did fail the course. Right? I think that they failed it the second time that they took the course as well, but they failed it on their own. It is much better for you to turn in garbage. It is much better for you not to turn anything in rather than turning in something that you copied from somebody else. It's much better to take that clean 0 than that academic integrity 0 that gets you twice. Right? So stay away from the cheating. Right? Communication and getting help. Hopefully everybody has signed up for Piazza. Everybody should have received and I updated the welcome message, or I updated the roster. You probably won't see all this stuff, but you would see the welcome message. This is the welcome message I sent out for anybody that wants to get started right away. It walks you through how to get your account, which if you want to wait till tomorrow, you can get your account from Shay tomorrow. Otherwise, if you want to claim it now, you can do that as well. If you want to install a bunch of stuff and get started so that you're ready to do everything on your own laptops, on your own machines, that's perfectly fine too. Right? And then there's a couple of other things about, what was it? Husker Power and Husker Dialogues. So read those if you're interested in attending those events. Right? But otherwise, if you have a question, don't email me. Right? Just post on Piazza, and I or one of the other 30 people that are instructors for this course will be able to get to it. A lot of times people will be able to get to it before I do. And you'll get your question answered so much faster if you go through Piazza. If you do email me, usually what I'll say is, hey, that's a great question. I'm going to take that on Piazza and post it. You can post anonymously, by the way. Or you can post so that none of your classmates know who you are, but we will know who you are. For example, if you've got something that I don't know what's going on line 47 and I'm anonymous, we're not going to be able to help you on that because we're not going to be able to look that up. But if you can still post such as privately, you can still post so that nobody knows who you are, but that we can still give you that answer. I'm going to tell you to take it to Piazza because if you have that question, more than likely 50 other people have that same exact question, and I want everybody to get the value of the answer. It's not just me not wanting to answer the same question 50 times. one or two people may be brave enough to ask that question. The other 48 are left out in the cold, right? So make sure that you're asking questions on Piazza, taking your questions to Piazza, because then everybody gets the benefit of the answer, right? And you can answer, right? If somebody asks a question, there's a place there for the instructor answer. There's also a place there for the student answer. So if you want to, you've got some experience, or you understood the material really fast, and you want to help other people, go on Piazza and start answering questions. Okay. Lectures, lecture videos, required reading, labs, hacks, all of that goes into your learning experience. Piazza, office hours, and my personal recommendations are don't procrastinate. Like any skill, it takes what's called a bake-in period. So again, that instrument analogy. If you pick up the saxophone, my son's taking up saxophone now. If you pick up that saxophone and I'll practice some other time. When you've got your concert tomorrow and you choose the night before to practice, you're not going to sound great for the concert. It takes a bake-in period that you need to be practicing over time. Just like an instrument, you need to be practicing over time to be able to understand this stuff. So start a week ahead. Right? Write a few lines of code. You may not know how to do the entire program yet, but you can get started with stub it. We call it stubbing it out with at least the framework there. Write out in comments what you think you might have to do, and then come back and fill it in later. Right? Getting started, not procrastinating, is the best way to approach this course. Get help the right way. You may or may not have been over to the Math Resource Center, but they've got this checklist of 15 things. Before you ask any TA any question, ask yourself, have you done these things? Have you done an example? Have you read the chapter? Have you done all this other stuff, right? That's asking questions in the right way. Have you already exhausted the resources that we've made available to you? Did you do the required reading? Did you watch the videos? Did you practice on and watch the examples that we've already done, right? Did you attend class? And then when you go to a TA and you have a question, be able to articulate that question. You can't just say, "My program doesn't work. I don't know what's going on." Right? They're going to, at least the way that I would approach that is I would start asking questions. I would say, "Well, how is it not going on? Or how is it not working? What error messages are you getting?" Right? And 9 times out of 10, that interview, you'll reach the right answer yourself. Right? I never have to. Most of the times, I don't have to answer any questions. I just follow it up with other questions. What about this? What about this? What about this? And eventually, you get to the actual problem, and you understand it by answering your own questions. We also call that rubber duck debugging. So once you've done enough programming, you get to a point where I can't get this bug. I don't know what's going on, right? Explaining it to somebody else and walking somebody else through it usually solves the problem for you, because then you start explaining. You're forced to explain it to somebody else. You're forced to articulate it and sort it out in your own mind. And once you've done that, then oh yeah, that's right. I forgot to sort it on line 52 or whatever, right? And we call that rubber duck debugging because you don't always have somebody there to listen. And so what you should do is you take a little rubber duck and you put it up on top of your computer and you start talking to it. Yeah, you look crazy, but at least you start explaining it to somebody else or some inanimate object, and you start to work it out in your own head. Right? So follow the same process when you come to ask a question. These are the things I've tried, and this is how it's failed. And that way the TA will be able to better help understand what your problem is, and then better able to help you actually solve that problem. Okay? All right, that's the end of the syllabus. Any questions so far, by the way? No? Okay. Again, no late work accepted. Academic dishonesty. There is a code usage policy, by the way. It's repeating that table from before. But also, the following instances are examples of code usage that are acceptable. So what can you do as far as your assignments go? Any of the following pieces of code may be used in your labs, hacks, assignments, or exams. Any function provided to you as part of the language standard library. So if something is built into the language itself, yes, you can use that. Yes, you should use that. Right? Don't reinvent the wheel. Any piece of code that was provided to you by the instructor. So if I give you like the examples that we go over in class, the examples that are already in the book, the examples that are already in the pre-prepared lecture videos, all of those you can use freely without attribution or anything like that. Any piece of code that you wrote as part of your lab, hack session, or from another assignment. So if you wrote, the assignments are designed to do this, by the way, that if you do something in the hack, like you write a function that reads in a file line by line, which is something that you'll do, definitely use that on an assignment to make your life easier. Right? Don't reinvent the wheel. You'll see that we designed all this stuff to build on each other, that if you're doing a piece of code in week 3, that might come back to be useful later on. Yes, you can use that. Right? You wrote it, you can use it. A piece of code that you wrote outside of this class or from another class. So if you've taken a C course before, which I highly doubt, but if you've written stuff before, you can use it. Right? Unacceptable code usage. Any piece of code copied from another student in any form. This includes cut and paste of the substantial part, copying entire files, transcribing or reproducing code that you saw, you looked over their shoulder, or you took out your phone, you took a snapshot, and then you transcribed it later, and in any attempt to obfuscate the hiding of the copying. Don't do that. Providing code to another student or allowing another student to copy your code, or not taking reasonable measures to prevent another student from gaining access to your code. There was another situation last year where two students were found, according to Moss, measure of software similarity, and it was clear that one provided to the other, and then he stole it. Right? Well, okay. What do you mean he stole it? Well, we're roommates, and he got into my computer. I go, well, unless he comes forward with a full confession that yes, I stole it. That's what eventually happened. You're responsible to make sure that your computer, your personal machine, is password protected. Don't just leave it open for them. Why on earth you would leave your own personal laptop open for anybody else? Don't do that, right? You've got plenty of other stuff besides code that you probably wouldn't want other people to see. Making your code publicly accessible prior to final grades posting. So publishing code to GitHub or something like that, or just, hey, this is a cool program. Look at it, Grandma, and you post it out on Facebook or something like that. Don't do that, right? Until after it's due, and then you can publish it anywhere you want. Right? Accessing sites such as Chegg, Course Hero, Freelancer, anything that is designed for the facilitation of cheating. The people in charge of those sites will, of course, say, no, we're not doing that. Well, yes, they are. Right? That's plausible deniability, but all of those are cheating websites. And by the way, they're not just enabling you to cheat; they're also cheating you. Read some horror stories online of how easy it is to get out of subscriptions to these sites. Unless you cancel your credit card or whatever, you're not getting out of them, right? So they will be charging you. They will be charging you cancellation fees and a whole bunch of other stuff. So they're there to bilk you out of your money. Yeah.
Does Stack Overflow count as a site?
I'd say stay away from it. Tread lightly. If in your mind this seems like a gray area, step away.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
So I'm going through code. If you were to happen to Google one of your error messages and it brought you to a site like this, would you be having issues going there?
Not really. I mean, I doubt that it would ever take you to the exact same thing. One exception to that would be like a few years ago, I assigned a Sudoku solver, and that's common enough. Or not a solver, but a verifier. That's common enough of a programming exercise. I don't do it anymore, but it's common enough that there are plenty of Stack Overflow answers there. So I try to stay away from common stuff like that. And you'll find that 90% of the stuff out there is for noobs that are into Python and Java and stuff like that. This is a C course. It's not that common. Right? Don't be stupid. Right? It is stupid to cheat because you are cheating yourself. You're not learning anything. Ostensibly, you're paying for this course. If you want to get anything out of it, then that means that you've got to put something into it. You're wasting your time and your money if you are simply just paying somebody else to do, or letting somebody else do your work for you. Your ignorance will eventually catch up to you. Whether or not it's in Computer Science 1, Computer Science 2, or Computer Science 3, eventually you're going to turn around and say, I've relied on my partners too much throughout this entire process. I don't know the first thing that's going on. Now, there are plenty of people that get through all 4 years and then finally get to their interview, and they even get past the interview, right, with some job or something. They don't make it too much farther into the job when your colleagues realize that you don't know what you're doing. So eventually it will catch up to you. If it's in this course or years from now, it doesn't matter. It will eventually catch up to you. It's stupid to ask or receive code from another person because if you use it to any significant degree, it will be easily detectable by MOS. So don't give your code out because you're just asking, the situation would be, okay, yeah, you can look at my code as a reference, but don't use it because we're going to get caught. Guess what people do? They use it, right? And then you get caught, and then you're just as culpable as the person that promised not to use it and then did use it. You also undermine your own learning experience. If you receive code from somebody else without explanation, then you're not going to understand it, right? In fact, I think there are cognitive studies out there that say that it's twice as difficult to understand somebody else's code as it is to simply just produce the code yourself once you know what you're doing, right? That's why we strive to write readable code, because readable code is maintainable code. Anything that you can do to help somebody understand your code better by documenting it, by writing clean code, it's going to help other people understand it and therefore be more maintainable. It's stupid to give your code to somebody else because, again, they'll screw you in the end. It's stupid to copy off somebody else because, yeah, I can use Google too, right? I can use Stack Overflow as well and find out exactly where it came from. Proper collaboration, go ahead and read that on your own time. And then if you are so inclined, you can also read testimonials from previous years. These are from 2 or 3 years ago. I collect them every single time I catch somebody. One of the things that they have to do to repent is to write up what they did, why they did it, and usually it's because, read through it because it's really telling. 9 times out of 10, it's because I put it off to the last second and then I got desperate. If you don't procrastinate, you will not be tempted. All right? So keep that in mind. Again, MOS, it's super easy. Closer to the actual assignment, first assignment, I'll go ahead and give you a demonstration of it from a previous year. Right? Other resources, of course, everything is hosted in Canvas. Piazza, there's the hand-in that you're going to see tomorrow, as well as the grader that you'll see tomorrow. There's the gradebook, free textbook download, 700 pages. I would not recommend printing it out. It's just a PDF anyway, so you can search it. It's searchable. And also it's clickable. So if you go to the index and find what you're looking for, it'll take clicking that page number will take you to that page number. Going to the glossary if there's a word in there that has an entry in the glossary, you can click on it and it'll take you to the glossary entry. Your graduate teaching assistants are there to help you. Your learning assistants are there to help you. In addition to that, you've got the Student Resource Center that is open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So 60 hours a week, you've got this entire other resource there, the Student Resource Center. There's usually somebody there. It's a social hub as well. Lots of people that just hang out there. Many people have gone through this course or know C already. So, you can just ask somebody for help that's just sitting there and hanging out. You don't have to limit it to just your GTAs and LAs. Don't assume anything about yourself to be successful in this course. We start with zero knowledge. We don't assume that you've had 5 years of programming already, right? And if you have had 5 years of programming or you've never programmed in your entire life, perfectly fine, right? We're all going to treat you as equals that you're starting out on the same foot. Even if you have greater than zero knowledge, you'll still learn something. Has anybody, if you've taken Java in high school, if you've learned Python on your own from a course academy course or whatever they are, likely not everybody here has seen C or done stuff in C. So you will learn something. Anybody? Oh, okay. Several people have seen C before. Wow, okay. I was wrong. Coding is a skill, again, that needs practice. And practice means that you have a bake-in period where you're doing it daily or every other day. All right? Don't compare yourself to others. Again, those people that raised their hand, they might have a ton of experience already. Use them as a resource. And to those who did raise their hands, be a resource to the other students. But don't compare yourself to them. Don't compare yourself to the person. If you just started learning to play an instrument, you wouldn't compare yourself to somebody who's had 20 years in that instrument, right? You would compare yourself to yourself. Am I better now today than I was yesterday? 3 weeks from now, am I better than I was on the first day of class? And by the end of this course, you'll look back and say, look back at that first assignment, wow, it took me 3 hours to do that first assignment. But I could bang that out in 5 minutes now. That's what you should be striving for, self-improvement. Compare yourself to yourself. You may struggle, but everybody can succeed in this course. Okay? Like Kelly said, there will be several surveys and studies throughout the semester. More details will be available later on. They are all completely optional. They do not affect your grade positively or negatively. And with the last 15 minutes here, since we are being recorded, I will go ahead and set up a demonstration. This is basically what I sent out in that welcome message. If you want to, you can go ahead and claim your account. Obviously, I won't be doing this because I've already got my account. But you can go ahead and claim your account by following that URL right there. Do it at a later time if you haven't done it already. We have a BYOD document. So BYOB is bring your own beer. So what is D? Bring your own device, exactly. Now, there are lots of ways that you can do this. You can go the full 9 and install. If you're Windows, you can install a Cygwin instance and then have an entire. You can dual boot everything and whatever you want to do, whatever works for you, fine. I've attempted to do the simplest thing possible for Windows users or for Mac users. For Windows users, the best thing that you can do is set up what's called your Z drive. It's called a Samba server. So basically, you would be connecting to the CSE server's hard drive on your desktop. It'll look like there's a little hard drive on your desktop. You can open it up, and you're directly connecting to that server. You'll be able to do that on campus. Off campus, you're firewalled. So you'll need a VPN at that point. I recommend installing Atom.io. It's a free text editor. I'll go ahead and fire mine up right now. It's cross-platform, Windows, and it's the same download. But it looks something like this. You can start typing in it. You can go ahead and bring in, let me go ahead and show you what it looks like to connect to your Z drive, at least on a Mac, of course. Come on. All right, it's reconnecting right now. Anyway, it just looks like a hard drive, but there are 3 people holding hands on it. Anyway, whenever that connects next, you'll be able to drag and drop that over here, and it'll show something like, here, I'll do it with something else. Oh, no. All right. We're going to have to do a force kill. What is it? Alt-Control? Nope. What is it on Mac? I so rarely have to do it. Command-Option. Delete, isn't it? There we go. All right. No, that's emptying trash. Oh, did it work? Okay, yeah, there. All right, it's back. It finally. So there's what it looks like on a Mac. I don't know what it'll look like on a Windows. I haven't had a Windows box in many, many years. But there's my folder, and I'm connecting. All these files are stored on the CSE server, right? And so you can directly connect to your CSE server. Let's bring back up this. So follow the instructions here to do that on Windows. If you're on Mac, follow the instructions here to do that on Mac. Again, you'll be able to do that on campus, okay, only. Off campus, you'll have to install a VPN. I've installed Atom.io. Again, you can install Atom.io with either one. If you are on Windows, make sure that you follow these 4 extra steps so that you don't have crappy Windows end-line characters in your submissions. It's pretty easy, all right? Then, if you're on Windows, install PuTTY, which is an SSH client. It basically looks something like this. where you've got a command line, and you can like list the files, you can clear the screen, you can change directories. You'll be doing all of this tomorrow. Or you can SSH into your Z drive. Right? Now, normally it would prompt you for a password. I set it up so that I don't have to give my password every single time. And they're all the same files that you would see over here. Right? These are all hidden files, though, so I'm seeing many more over here. But you would see 155E. OK, there. I'll go into this other folder here. I'll create a new file, and I'll call it hello.c. Right? And right now, it's just an empty source file. All of your source files are just plain text files. That's how a program starts. You start out with a plain text file. You write computer code that it conforms to the language, and then you give it to a compiler to compile. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with what's called a header. Right? If you're writing an English paper, what do you put at the top? Your name, date, class, title, right? The standard 4 things on every English paper header. I'm going to do the same thing with my program. Author is me. This program is a simple hello world program. Right? I give it the purpose, the author, maybe the date. Right? 2019-08. What is today? 26th. There we go. That's a comment that is basically a header that tells people. Let me go ahead and zoom in for you. That tells people what the purpose of this program is. Okay? I've got some include statements. Include stdlib.h, include stdio.h. What do you think those stand for? stdlib. Libraries, standard libraries, right? Bringing in the standard stuff that you need for the language. IO, in and out. So it's input and output, right? I'll start my program with a main function. Int argc, char argv. Lots of weird stuff there. Don't worry about it just yet. Also weird stuff. Don't worry about it just yet. But the meat and potatoes of this program is going to be a print statement. Right? I'm going to be printing something. The F stands for formatted. Don't worry about it. Hello world. There's part of the format. /n. What is that? It's a new line character. If you look at your keyboard and you say, well, OK, I want to print a new line character, what does it do to your code? It goes to the next line. So how do you tell a computer to print a new line character so that it goes to the next line? You need this /n. Is that a forward slash or a backward slash? Backslash. It's a backslash. How do you know? You stand to the right, and are you leaning back or are you leaning forward? Right? So which one is this? It's a backslash. Okay? That just simply means go to the next line. Save the program, and when I get over here, 5E, right, there we go. There's the program that I just wrote. Right? I am editing it on my laptop right here. When I save it, it's saving it to that remote server in the basement of Avery Hall. Okay? So that's the minimalist setup that you can use. So you don't have to install your own C environment. You don't have to install a bunch of stuff. If you just follow those instructions, either Windows or Mac, and you install one text editor, or PuTTY in this case if you're in Windows. Although the most recent versions of Windows have an SSH client built in, by default you may have to turn it on to do a search for how to do that. Right? But now that I've got this program, of course, I can ask, well, what is that thing? It's CSource. It's an ASCII text file. It's a plain text file. There's no way I can run this. I need to compile it. Right? Oops. I screwed up already. No semicolon. So if it doesn't work, you'll get a nice little helpful error message on this. We'll go over all this on Wednesday as well. But it says at line 13, column 4, there's an expected semicolon that you forgot. Right? Programming languages are a lot like English. They've got structure, they've got sentences, they've got paragraphs, they've got punctuation, periods that end the sentence. In this case, to end a sentence in a lot of programming languages, you use a semicolon. But now once I've taken care of that, I can go ahead and compile it. No news is good news. Right? If there are no errors, then it won't say anything. But it did produce this file right here, a.out. Right? I can run that file like this, and it says hello world. What kind of file is that? It's ELF, 64-bit, LSB, executable, blah, 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 blah. It's an executable, right? It's something that you can actually run on this system right here. Right? I just wanted to show you this because if you want to set up your own computer, it's as easy as that. Alternatively, there are some alternatives here. If you want a full IDE, we recommend maybe Code Blocks or Eclipse. Those are integrated development environments. Generally, if you download those, you not only get a text editor, but you also get a compiler, a debugger, all the tools possible when you need to develop. My purpose with this document is to keep it simple. It's also a design principle, the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. Right? So I'm keeping it as simple as possible. Go ahead and you can download, but if you want a more complicated, more functional environment, then you can go ahead and do that. Sublime Text is an excellent code editor as well, in addition to Atom.io. It's just that it's commercial and costs you money. If you get an old version, I believe Sublime Text 2 is free. 3 is free now? Oh, just to students or everyone? Okay. As students, you get a lot of free stuff. I don't, so unless I lie and say that I'm a student. If you're off campus and you need to transfer files from your personal machine up to the CSCE server, you can use an SFTP, which is a secure file transfer protocol client. We recommend FileZilla. Right? So there are a bunch of alternatives there. In short, there's the demonstration. I'll skip that since we don't have time. But any questions in the last 3 minutes here? I threw a lot out of you. That's okay. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Way back there. That's if you need to go to claim. He asked what your CSE credentials are. You need to go to that claim, and it'll tell you. It does it not? It'll come on down afterwards. But otherwise, I'll close on make sure that you have fun, make sure that you get it started, and make sure that you use all the resources that we have available to you.